It is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. Special shout out to Jolly Olive for filling in for me last week. Things got a little hairy at the Super Bowl with the travel, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you, Jolly. Always appreciate it. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. It's good to see your face. Appreciate Jolly stepping in, but it's not the same. I need my dad here talking ball.
Here we go.
And I know that you had a great weekend at the Super Bowl. I'm sure it was busy, but it looked like fun. I saw some of the pictures. I was up skiing, kind of getting my last vacay in before the season. And here we are, because that's what it is, Chris. Pitchers and catchers have reported the season has started.
Mm-hmm. We will get to all that momentarily. But when we woke up Tuesday morning on the West Coast, there's a familiar face in Southern California. It's the reason I'm wearing a Halos hat. Kenley Jansen, who, of course, played the bulk of his career in L.A. with the Dodgers, will now be playing with the Angels. 1 year, $10 million deal. I suppose, God, I hate doing this to Angel fans. Do you expect him to finish the season in Anaheim?
Well, that's the first thing I told you. I said, it looks like the Angels. I mean, I know they've gone out and improved their team. They really have. They've gone out and have been, I'll call it aggressive in free agency. I guess I'll give them that. It does seem like there's a lot of tradable assets there. I don't know if they're thinking about that with Kikuchi, but if he goes out and has a really good year, 2 years left, cost controlled for some team might like that. I think he stays, but there's a lot of 1 year deals there that, I can see if Kenley, at the deadline is, kind of his usual self, looking good. He's a guy that could go somewhere. Travis d'Arnaud, I know they like him behind O'Hoppe, but he's a guy that could go somewhere. So that's kind of how I'm seeing this. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe they'll be in the thick of the wild card hunt again. But that's me being optimistic about them. It does seem like tradable assets.
On an individual note, 447 career saves for Jansen. Fourth most all time. So he's 31 behind Lee Smith to get to third. My guess is that's where he eventually will end up. I think he'll probably play this year and next as long as he continues to stay healthy, which is something that he's done pretty well in his longer tooth years, if you will.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see him. And it comes back to, I guess, LA. I guess you'll call it LA. Do you think he kept his place here?
Ooh. Good question. I would think so. I would think so.
Even if he kept his place, I'll just call it Studio City. I don't know where he lives. That's too far of a drive to go to Anaheim.
Yeah, I think I've talked to him about where he lives, and I think that he's closer to Anaheim than Studio City.
There you go.
Yeah. So, all right, good for him and good for Angel fans. At least it gives him a credible source there at the back end of the at the bullpen to go along with Mr. Joyce, who throws a bazillion. So that could be fun. In the meantime, the champs have showed up to work. Of course, they'll get going overseas in Japan as they take on the Chicago Cubs before everybody else gets going. Tuesday was the official report day for everybody. And so Shohei Ohtani showed up to work. Dodgers put a little clip of him doing his thing on the mound. Oh, that looks nice. Looks great. I'll stand in there, though. Yeah. Take him yah. Probably not, actually. My big question for you regarding the three-time MVP is, are you more interested in seeing him swing the bat this year to see if he can duplicate a 50-50 or his return to the mound?
I think without a doubt it's his return to the mound, Chris. I want to see what his arm looks like, what his stuff looks like. I know they didn't call it TJ, but he's basically had two TJs, and those – that's not easy to come back from. Now, if there's anyone that can do it, it's a guy like Shohei Ohtani. I'm sure is very diligent with his rehab efforts, and he's taking his time. So I want to see what he looks like. I'm assuming it's going to be great, but that's kind of like that's my main concern with him. We know what he's going to do with the bat. He is who he is. I think the arm can be a bigger question mark. Again, I in my mind, I think he's going to look just fine. But also, is he going to be the same guy? The same guy we saw, strike out Mike Trout to end the WBC? Is he going to be that guy? I think time will tell. But that's definitely where I'm more interested in seeing. I think Dodger fans probably feel the same way.
Except that they've got a gazillion different choices on the mound. And let's say for whatever reason it's not working out. And we don't need him. I mean, they did sign
Blake.
Stop. What?
What do you mean not working out? Do you mean he's like not feeling great, so we'll
Yeah.
just stop him from pitching completely?
No, I don't think that that's going to happen at
Or are
all.
you talking about bullpen? Because that's what everyone's talking about.
No, what I'm talking about is come October. I mean, really, that's what we care about with this team. If they win
Okay.
112 games, do you really care? Because at the end of the day, it's all about October. What did they go to battle with when it counted most? Not mostly the guys they thought.
Yep.
So to me, the entire season is an audition for 26 roster spots. And that doesn't mean that necessarily that Shohei Ohtani will be part of that postseason rotation. Who the heck knows what it's going to look like? I mean, look at all the guys they've got, all the dudes they have. You can only start 4 of them, if 4.
I agree with you. I mean, I really haven't thought of it like that. Like, who are they going to pare it down to? Because usually the season takes care of that itself, with guys going on the shelf. And I don't really see a lot of underperformances with the guys that they have. But yeah, like I said, usually the season takes care of it itself. But yeah, I guess I really haven't thought about who would they pare it down to, because they do have a lot of excellent options. If healthy, though, I'm assuming Shohei will be part of that rotation, though.
Yes, but once again, we're dealing with a second major surgery, and Walker Buehler wasn't good until the end of the season, right? And then he returned to form in October and was unbelievable. I think he gave up runs in 1 inning that he pitched, and something like 15 postseason innings. But when you got to September, you were like, well, Walker Buehler's not a part of this thing. And he was recovering from a second major arm surgery in his career. He had one, I believe, in college or right after college. And then he had one that cost him almost 2 years. So all I'm saying is that you look at the rest of this team, right? Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell, Sasaki. I mean, who knows what Sasaki's going to give them this year, but could be pretty special. And they've got other dudes as well that are just kind of put on layaway.
Yeah, it's why they do it, though. I mean, they're thinking the exact same thing that you're thinking. Like, we don't exactly know what it's going to look like, but at least we have a wealth of options to choose from.
Yep. All right, as I mentioned, the Dodgers are going to open the regular season, over in Japan, which is going to be great. Chicago's also in camp. They're still reportedly chasing after Alex Bregman, although Jed Hoyer kind of said, well, that's a non-story. I'm not going to talk about players. I can't talk about players. And then somebody said, but he's a free agent. I'm not talking about players. It was like the most pissy I've ever seen Jed before. Did you see that?
I didn't see that, but you definitely can talk about players that are free agents. Definitely can do that.
Anyway, the Athletic reported that if Bregman signs elsewhere, and we know that Boston and Detroit are in the mix, and Dana Brown's talking about him in past tense in Houston, so who knows where he goes, that Justin Turner might be an option as a right-handed stick on the north side of Chicago. What does that do for you?
I love it. I'm interested. He's like my mercenary guy now. There's a couple guys throughout the league that I really like in that role. Justin Turner has turned himself kind of into that. And he can still hit, Chris. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last 2 seasons, Boston, Seattle, and Toronto, 772 OPS. He actually hit better in Seattle last year, which, I think that says something about a guy that can overcome what Seattle offers there. So I like it. He doesn't have to go there and be a star, but he can be. Like, you put him like 6th in that lineup, and I guarantee he'll drive in runs. I guarantee he'll give you good at bats. I think it's a great, 1-year option. I know they're still figuring out what they want to do, if Shaw's going to be their guy or not, but if they bring Turner in as depth, I think it's an excellent move for them. Would I rather them see go get Alex Bregman? Obviously. But if that's not in the cards, I think JT is like a very viable, I don't even want to call him a depth piece, but I guess that's an okay term. I think he could be a starter if you want him to be.
Yeah, I don't think that at 40 years old, he's going to take offense to something like that. I'm sure I'll hear from him if he does. And by the way, it was Plouffe that called you that, not Rose.
I didn't say it. I said no one praises JT more than me, okay?
I think he would be great for some of their younger hitters that maybe they're going to rely on. If they they've got so many guys that are right there on the cusp of making it to the big league level that if we see them because of injuries or if something happens to the roster this year, a guy like Justin Turner is the perfect calming influence, guy who can teach people how to work a pitch and a count and all that sort of stuff. And oh, by the way, his OPS the second half of the season was 818. I'll
in
take that
Seattle.
at 39 years old. It's pretty damn good. So, yes, the guy can still play. And, we know what he means from a leadership standpoint. Now, maybe one day over a beer, he'll tell me what the hell happened in Toronto. Most likely not, because none of us can figure that one out. We thought maybe he was the missing piece up there last year. Instead, it's the whole team that was missing. So, whatever. Chicago, by the way, in case you've forgotten, finished 10 back of Milwaukee a season ago. Craig Counsell, who, of course, came over as the big managerial signing for $40 million, said at the end of last season, quote, "There was a big gap between Milwaukee and us." Is there a gap now? And if so, how big?
I don't see a gap on paper. But I think everybody, including myself, usually underestimates the Brewers just a little bit. The projections surely do. But I don't see a sizable gap. In fact, I kind of see these two teams as very closely matched. If you go up and down the lineup, both teams have veteran guys that I think you can count on. I think there's a bunch of young guys in speed and athleticism in both these lineups. They can both play defense. I think the pitching staffs, I'd probably lean, as far as starters, I'd probably lean Cubs, but it's not by a ton. I don't think so. I mean, again, I think we always underestimate what Milwaukee brings to the table on the pitching side. I'd probably lean Cubs, and then in the back end of the bullpen, and I think they're pretty dang close. And I think that's where Milwaukee always really gets underestimated, is in the back end of their bullpen. So I don't see a sizable gap, to answer your question, especially on paper. I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched, and they even mirror each other quite a bit.
Okay, I'm going to call it a reverse gap, because I think the gap is maybe it went, here's Milwaukee.
See, no, this is clip this for the end.
This is where Chicago is, and this is where. How can you say that? And I know that the history will tell us that Milwaukee just figures out a way, much like Cleveland does and much like Tampa does, even though they didn't have a good year last year. But you lose one of the top closers in baseball. I know you get Nestor Cortez replacing him. Well, you can't just shake your head and say, nah, that's a big miss. I get it.
They've done it before.
I know they've done it before.
They've lost an ace. They've lost the best closer in baseball, and they just lost the best closer in baseball again, and they've won the division every single year after that.
They also lost part of their heart and soul in Willie Adames, who, oh, by the way, always hits homers in the high 20s.
That's big. That's
a big one. They didn't add much. They just didn't add much. And I think Chicago had a great offseason. I mean, how can they not, if they had just picked up Kyle Tucker, you'd be like, damn, that's a win. That is a win. But they added more than that. And I don't think they're done adding. So I'm sorry, I can't look at these teams and say that they're, well, I definitely will say this. Milwaukee will not be 10 games better than the Chicago Cubs this year. Could I see it? Isn't it more likely that the Cubs are 10 games better than the Brewers and the Brewers 10 games?
I'm not saying that.
You won't say that?
This has been year in and year out like an 87 to 90 win team. Milwaukee Brewers. No matter who's on the roster, they find a way to do it. That's just what they do, Chris. So I think it's time we stop looking at them on paper before the year and saying, "Ah, man, they don't look that good this year." It's just not true. At the end of the year, I guarantee we're going to go back to this clip. They're going to be neck and neck with Chicago, and I'm going to be like, "Do you remember what you said? I reminded you that every year we underestimate this Milwaukee team."
So this is my New York Mets May 29th clip.
Not yet. You didn't declare the Brewers dead.
I will not declare them dead.
Hey, they got some guy, Chris, and I don't know if you know this, but they got some guy named Craig Yoho. Okay, and he throws an airbender, the nastiest pitcher in the minor leagues. He was the Brewers minor league pitcher of the year last year as a reliever. That's what they do. He'll be up. He'll be the next Devin Williams, Josh Hader guy.
Okay, and by the way, that is an incredible name. I mean,
I hope I didn't mess that up. I think it's Craig Yoho.
How does he spell it?
No, I mean it's phonetically right. I think that's his name. I gotta look it up again.
Yo-ho. I like that. I'm digging it. We could create some good T-shirts here at John Boy Media.
I'm telling you, this guy's gonna come up, and you're like, oh man, yes, it's Craig Yoho.
Okay,
out of Fisher, Indiana.
Out of Fisher, Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a Hoosier boy. All right. That's cool. You know what? Let us know. Let us know, who your pick is between these two teams in the NL Central. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's Cincinnati. It's probably not St. Louis or Pittsburgh, but who knows? That's fine. I got something for you. It's time to take your nutrition to an entirely new level. That's why we want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Huel. It is spelled Huel, the global complete nutritional brand trusted by over 400 million people. Their Black Edition ready to drink. It is a total game changer. A complete meal in a bottle that is high in protein. It is low in sugar. It is packed with all the nutrients your body needs to feel and perform at its best. Now, I'm always on the move, especially this month. I don't have much time to whip up a balanced meal, which is where Huel comes in. Huel is convenient. It tastes so good. Their shakes actually taste kind of like, I don't know, a milkshake. And they come in chocolate or vanilla. So join the community of Hueligans with this exclusive offer for new customers. It is 15% off plus a free gift with the code today at Huel.com. That is 15% plus a free gift for new customers. The code is today at Huel.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in mere minutes so you can focus on what really matters. We continue to focus on as pitchers and catchers reporting all over Florida and Arizona. We love it. Some of us will be out in the desert in just a few days, checking out all these teams, saying hi, creating content. Can't wait for that. The question here is, who's got a shot to be this year's Tarik Skubal? And what I mean by that, a guy that has been good. He's not literally coming out of nowhere because Skubal was good. But then in 2024, he stepped on the accelerator and became the baddest boy on the planet. So who's got a shot to maybe not get to Skubal level, but at least in sniffing distance?
The first couple of guys that came to mind, because we're talking lefties, I was thinking Lodolo and Mackenzie Gore, but they're a little bit old. I wanted to go somewhere younger. So I'm going to go with my guy out in Pittsburgh, not Paul Skeens, because that wouldn't be a correct answer to this question, but Jared Jones. I think he has the stuff to do it. I think he needs to add some stuff to take that next step. He's basically a two-pitch pitcher, fastball, slider. I think if whether he wants to add a wrinkle to his fastball and throw something different, or add a cutter or figure out that curveball or changeup, I think you have to be a three-pitch pitcher as a starter to really go to the next level. There are some outliers there, but in my mind, 3-4 pitches that you can throw and keep guys off balance is how you become that elite pitcher. If you're a guy that can do that, it just makes it very difficult for a big league hitter to have a game plan against you. Like I said, Jones has been basically a two-pitch pitcher. He's had success, but to take that next step, I think he had to add something, or at least command, that third pitch a little bit better, because it's been two pitches. And again, I just think you got to add one more to enter that elite area.
So I've got Derek Shelton, the Pirates skipper, on Rose rotation this week. He was incredible on the skiing stuff. And we talked a while about Jared Jones, too, who's not an overly big dude. Like, if you stand him next to Skeens, he just looks like a little kid, to be honest with you. He's under 200 pounds. They say he's 6'1", but if you listen to Shelty talk about him, he ain't that at all. But loves him, loves everything about him. And he says, man, not that you have to talk less about Skeens, but you got to talk more about Jones, period. And so he's a big believer in what they've got there. And he would certainly love hearing that out of your mouth. For me, I'm going to go with a guy, and it's a little risky, so I might be putting the whammy on him. It's risky because he's not a strikeout guy. And strikeout guys in today's game, for whatever reason, you could have some bad luck, bad at ball and play, numbers, balls find holes, all sorts of stuff. But I'm going to go with Bryce Miller up there in the Pacific Northwest. He's probably the guy we talk about maybe least in Seattle's rotation. Look at his overall numbers, and he pitched a complete year. His numbers were phenomenal. Sub-3 ERA, sub-1 whip. I get it, his home road splits were insane. He was under a 2 ERA up there in Seattle and over 4 on the road, so he does have to do better in that territory. But if you just boil it down to his second half, and I'm talking about from July on last year, he made 14 starts. In 6 of them, he did not give up a run. 3 times, he gave up a single run. twice 2 runs, twice 3 runs, and the most runs he gave up in 14 starts in the second half was 4. That was his blow-up game. That's it. For a young guy, dude knows how to pitch. He's the guy you don't think about at all in that 5-man rotation. I think he could sneak up on some people.
I love watching him pitch. I think about him maybe more than you think. Okay. I guess he does have the 3 pitches that I'm talking about. He throws 2 different types of fastballs. He has a splitter and obviously a bunch of other complementary pitches as well. But the splitter is absolutely filthy. So hey, maybe, I mean, he's kind of like at that level now. I don't know if he really qualifies for this question.
Whoa, why not?
Sub 3 is like kind of you did it. Because I could have said Hunter Green too, but he had sub 3.
I guess my point is this: is that if you were to say, give me the 20 best pitchers that are under the age of 26 in this league, I don't know if most people would mention his name.
If they watch our shows, they would. But I like the pick. I like talking about him because I guess he just gets lumped into the Seattle rotation. Just one big blurb. Hey, these guys are all good, and we know what they can do. And maybe part of it is the park there, and maybe we don't talk about that enough. If I'm being honest, it's a bigger outlier than Coors Field. We've been on that lately, but I like the pick of Bryce. The splitter's nasty. 10 run value with the splitter, 14 with the 4-seamer last year.
So maybe Dan Wilson should just pitch him up there and make my dreams come true. Wouldn't that be great if he made 30 starts in Seattle's ballpark and like 2 on the road?
We talked about this, and I don't know if maybe it was on this show. I asked you, like, what do you think would happen if we just brought all those guys to Coors? Like, would we look at them the same? Like, probably not.
Well, you can't do Coors.
Well, I don't know. Why not? It's a ballpark. They're at a field park that is a bigger outlier than Coors.
Well, how about a hitterish ballpark that doesn't fuck with you mentally? Because
I sound like a hater right now. I'm not a hater. Yeah, you do. I'm really into this park factor lately because I feel like it's gotten worse. It's been talked about more and more for Seattle as of late too.
Why do you think that the numbers are so drastic up there?
I read an article on it. I don't know who wrote it. Go search just like Park Factor Seattle article, whatever. They talked about a bunch of different things about the way the sun sets, the wind, the batter's eye being crooked. It's all sorts of things, and there's nothing they can really do, Chris, to fix it.
Interesting. Okay, let's move on. Francisco Alvarez, he's ready for a big season. Mets are ready to go to work. Now, New York's catcher was asked about his team's lineup coming into this season.
I think it's going to be a great lineup. I think we are the best lineup in the whole baseball. It's what I think. We have speed, we have a little bit in everything. We have power, we have hitting guys, we have power hitters, we have everything. So I think we are the best lineup in baseball. So we can fight with any team.
Okay, first of all, 2 things. I love his smile. If you're just audio only, go find the clip. Just type in his name on Twitter or whatever you want to do, or come to the YouTube version of our show. His smile is great. Don't you think?
It's good. I love the spring training optimism. It's back, baby. Let's go.
Number 2, Dan, can you put just a freeze of his face up there? What do you think of the Mets spring training hats?
Jolly and I went over this on Friday. We talked about all of the spring training hats, what our favorites were, what our least favorites were. This was one of the favorites because it looks like a spring training hat. Like we're trying something different here. It looks like Pete Alonso. That's what we said.
Although
just
I don't know
ball
if he's
player
smiling.
of the shades.
I don't know if he's smiling. Might have to turn that.
He's smiling enough. He's fine.
Okay. It's cute. That's not what we're here to do. We're not here to break down Alvarez's smile nor spring training hats for the second straight day. We're not even talking about whether or not the Mets are indeed the best lineup. I think we'll probably have time to go over that. But what is a sneaky lineup that either could be great or you're really interested in just focusing on this year a little bit?
I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants. It's interesting because you look at their statistics. They had, 7 or 8 dudes over 110 OPS plus last year, but they still finished 17th in runs, 19th in OPS. I don't really understand how that looks or how that works. But if you go, you're adding a couple guys, Willie Adames this year, a full year of Tyler Fitzgerald. You could look at that lineup and say, and Jung-Hoo Lee, you could say that, again, they're going to have at least 7 guys with an OPS plus over 110. So that's like a long, dangerous lineup. And how dangerous is it going to be? I guess time will tell. Obviously, their ballpark comes into play a little bit as well. But if we're talking about sneaky lineups, I think the Giants have assembled one of the more sneaky lineups in all of baseball.
I think that's sneaky good. So I'm going to kind of go a different route on my own question. I apologize because I don't know how good this lineup can be, but I'm curious to find out because they've got so many young players and they just added a veteran in Nathaniel Lowe that I think can, we talked about Justin Turner being able to work a count. Lowe is one of those guys as well. And I just recorded him for Rose Rotation that's going to come out next week. And so we talked a little bit about this and all the young guys. So we know about C.J. Abrams, Garcia, Dylan Cruz, James Woods. Like a few questions. Can Keibert Ruiz finally show up and be a dude? I think his OPS was just slightly over 600 last year. No. Jose Tena is a guy that they got in the Lane Thomas deal. Came over and did some nice things. What can he turn into? Young's a guy that can run and go get it. Now, once again, I don't even think his OPS was over 700. But the one thing this lineup has a ton of is athleticism. They stole more than 220 bases as a team. I know they lost a little bit of that in terms of, Lane Thomas when they traded him. But they still have a ton of guys that can run. And in this division, they are facing some wicked pitching. Wicked. So if these guys are going to grow up in front of our eyes, it's going to be a real challenge. And I'm curious to see how many of these dudes turn into ball players because they're all getting their shot.
Did you have the Giants as your answer and you pivoted to Washington, or was this your answer all along?
Did it sound sloppy?
I just didn't know. I just didn't know what you meant by I'm going to go a different route to my own question.
So what I meant by that is I don't think they could be a great lineup, but I'm interested to watch them to see if they can do anything.
The reason I said that, because we did our TPP on the Nationals, and me and Jake were stoked. We're like, all right, let's get in. Let's talk about this team. Like, we feel like we got some momentum going forward. And then we did it, and we're like, whoa, we're very, very underwhelmed with what this roster is. So I can look, the lineup, there's some pieces there that I'm very interested to watch. And I feel like it was the same last year. I was pretty excited to watch some of these guys, and I feel the same this year. There hasn't been that step forward yet where we're like, okay, the Nationals are, sneaky, pesky, going to be in the wild card race in September. It's not there yet for me.
No, I get it. Like, Keibert Ruiz isn't 21. He's 26. C.J. Abrams, though, is 24. Garcia, 24. Tena, 23. Dylan Cruz, 22. James Woods, 22. Who knows if Robert Hassel ever makes it up here. But, you get what I'm saying? Like, they're going to get their opportunity. And who knows, maybe sometimes it clicks, but there's not history there to say other than they can really run the bases and they're fast. That's
another one that we didn't talk about that I think has a chance?
What's that?
Oakland A's.
Yes, I looked at them. I looked at their lineup because Langoliers hit like 29 homers last year. Lawrence Butler had an OPS over 800. We know what Rooker did. Yes, I looked at them and I almost put them out there.
Yeah.
But I have to do this. Maybe this is a me problem. I have a hard time talking about the A's and trying to praise them because I feel so badly for the people in Oakland.
I mean, we're talking about the guys on the field that have nothing to do with any of that. So
I know. It hurts me.
I have a question for you. Yeah. Better record, A's or Nationals 2025?
A's.
I think so too.
I think so. Hey, they spent some money this year.
They had to.
Yes, they did.
It's a gun to the head, baby.
All right. Today's episode, sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's talk about relationship green flags. We often focus on red flags, but what about those positive signs in friends and partners? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help. It's like having a personal coach to spot winning traits in others and develop them for yourself as well. Now, therapy isn't just for major life curveballs. It teaches you to set boundaries like a pro, become the MVP of your own life. BetterHelp makes this process as easy as watching a game from your couch. With over 30,000 2,000 therapists and 5 million people help worldwide. They're knocking mental health goals out of the park. So discover your relationship, green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/baseball today. You're going to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball today. Go see the positives in people. All right. I wasn't positive when I was watching the Super Bowl down there in New Orleans when I looked at the screen because I had to do a double take. I said, was that Rob Manfred in a box with Adam Sandler and with Paul McCartney and with Paul Rudd? And so sure enough, I hopped on social media. There's the boss man right there. Is this kind of cool, or were you saying, what the hell?
Oh, I think this is very strategic for Rob, and he's been doing this quite a bit as of late, as he's trying to kind of get his image back. There was a while there where people were not fans of Rob Manfred, and I'm sure that people are going to be saying in the comments still maybe not big fans of his. But what he's done is he started to surround himself with people who are kind of universally loved, and then by osmosis, or just
seeps in.
I'm telling you, that's what he's doing. He's all around CC. He's got CC in the gang, he's always at their events. He's doing that. And if you're around CC, you're kind of golden. If you're around Adam Sandler, he's a universally loved guy. You're around all these guys. I think it's a smart move by Rob Manfred. If people see CC with him and joking with him and having a good time, it humanizes him. And they're like, okay, he can't be that bad if my guy CC likes him. That's what's going on here. I don't have a problem with it because I think it's a smart play by Rob.
I understand it. CC Sabathia is a golden child in the sport of baseball, though, and is doing things to lift up baseball. This is going and being a guest in a suite at the Super Bowl. Do you think that Roger Goodell would ever be sitting in a suite at World Series Game 5?
I'll
answer that.
I wouldn't. Why not? Why wouldn't he be?
Why hasn't he been?
I don't know anything about Roger Goodell, to be honest with you. Does he need to repair his image a little bit? I don't know.
No, Roger Goodell's perfectly fine. He loves it when he gets booed at the draft.
See, that's the difference.
He's like this.
That's the difference is Rob Manfred does not like to get booed.
I just thought it was weird. I could not believe it. I was like, what is he doing? What is he doing there?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Who's that next to him? Is that it's not Buster Posey, is it? Why does it look like Buster Posey?
No, that's not Buster Posey.
Okay, looks like him.
But Adam Sandler's
what's
in there.
This booth? What's this booth? That's what I want to know.
They have a
celebrity booth?
They have a lot of those at the Super Bowl. They have a lot of those. Okay. Yeah. It was a fun time, by the way. Hadn't been to New Orleans since the previous Super Bowl a dozen years ago. Took Michelle with me. She had never been down there, down to the Bayou. It was fun. Walked through Bourbon Street. She was like, whoa, that's interesting spot.
Safe to say the Super Bowl happened when the Rams went to Philly. That was the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was the best game. God, I can't believe it.
I could have been
Philly.
there.
Good for Philly. Pressure's on the baseball team now to get it done.
Yeah,
Talk to a lot of Eagles fans down there who are also Phillies fans. And they're like, man, they have bummed us out the last couple of years. I was like, damn, bummed y'all out.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, well, but that's Philadelphia for you, man. They apply the pressure. We are back at it again later this week. We will be together doing our next show as we get all set for Blitzball Battle 6 up there in beautiful Jersey City. So I can't wait to see you. Travel safely. Bands getting
you
all
as well.
back.
We're not together, which is
we are
tough.
not together. Yeah, somebody has to do a little extra work. That's okay. Not you. And then extra work on the backside as I go out to spring training. So I'll see you if there are fans out there at Dodgers camp or we're going. Where else are we going? I think Cleveland, Cincy one day. I think Kansas City, Texas. Got some good stuff coming up on the menu. Can't wait. Busy over the next 10 days. It's going to be fun. All right. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you later this week on Baseball Today.